It is The Brink, coming to you for a very special episode. At least the introduction of this episode. I'm a bit out of breath. You probably hear flies buzzing around me. You're probably thinking, what the fuck is this introduction? It's a little bit weird. Well, I'm going to say this. Welcome to the Northern Territory, the one state or territory in Australia that I have not been to, and I'm currently standing in. I have just walked between the Olgas and around the Olgas and are now heading back to the car park, as I am here for a couple of days getaway, also to film the Brink Unleashed 12.5 and have a merry old time. And I wanted to do a couple of segments here at least, just because I wanted to tick this off the list. Because I know we've done segments in other parts of the country, but why not the Northern Territory? But so far it has been beautiful, stunning. The weather's quite nice. I've only been here for not even 24 hours, but enjoying it so far. And up early at 5 a.m. this morning for a sunrise view over Uluru and the Olgas. And that's where we're at right now. So lots of filming being done. Brink Unleashed 12.5 is going to be fun. There's going to be Uluru visits. There's going to be helicopter rides. There's going to be stargazing. There's going to be drone shows. There was a Field of Light last night. Lots to come. But of course, if you're enjoying the Brink Unleashed franchise, or if you do, not if you have, the commentaries, of course, are dropping every Friday at the moment. So be sure to tune into those. But we've got plenty to get to on this episode. So without further ado, let's get to some more exciting stuff, and you'll hear from me a little bit later.
All right, it's that time of the year for the annual Bye Bye Leafs round on round 1, game 7 segment as we introduce this man. I had to get all that out. Let's try that again. The annual Bye Bye Leafs on round 1, game 7 segment. There we go. It's Colin Hilding. Hello, Colin.
Hey, thank you for using my my segment title.
You're welcome.
That I suggested.
No, I had that in reserve, ready to go, because it is that time of the year where we talk to a Toronto Maple Leafs fan about their team choking in Game 7 of Round 1. This is what, 6 times in the last 7 seasons or 8 seasons or something like that?
One break.
Yep. You did all right last year, and then you didn't get swept by Florida. I think you won 1 game from memory in that series. But yeah, the time of recording this, obviously we're going to talk about some of the games. By the time we release this, probably we've probably got the Stanley Cup winner. I don't know. But how are you feeling? I'm not even a Leafs fan. And again, I hurt for you guys. I really do. I really genuinely hurt for you because I actually do like the Maple Leafs. I'm not meant to, but I do. So I really feel for you guys.
Yeah, you know what? It's been a weird thing this year. I think the fact that we went and playing Boston, which is Maple Leafs kryptonite, they always lose to Boston in the first round. It was more or less expected. And then we went from being down 3-1 to coming back to, even it to go to Game 7. You add to that the fact that Boston was under a whole lot more pressure than Toronto this time around, because had they lost, this would have been the first time in NHL history where a team blew a 3-1 lead 2 years in a row. So Boston was like, all right, we're going to have to end hockey in I was going to call Minnesota, Massachusetts, if we actually blow 2 3-1 leads back to back. But the other weird thing that's happened is the Maple Leafs always are kind of that joke, the never-ending memes about how many years since the Stanley Cup. But this is the year where it seems like most of Canada has just gotten behind. Listen, we don't care how long it's been since the Leafs have won. Can we get any Canadian team to win now? I think it was Tim Hortons. They started this campaign where it wasn't specifically about the Leafs, but it was like, forget your team, just root for any Canadian team to win. And people kind of laughed off at first. And now all of a sudden, since we've only got 2 teams left in the playoffs, like Canadian teams, everybody seems to be adopting that attitude. It's like, it's just time that anybody wins. Like, how many Canadian teams have never won the Stanley Cup? How many years has it been since we won? Over 30 years? It's just time for anything to happen.
Well, I want to touch on that in just a moment because of who's left and how that pattern's working. But I don't know if it's just a Colin thing or a Canadian thing, but just that attitude. How you just remain so upbeat and positive there that your team's out again, and you're just like, oh, well, whatever, Canada. To put this in perspective, a week ago, Carlton in the AFL playing in just a regular season game. This isn't a final or anything like that, just a regular season game. We lost in the dying seconds against our biggest rival. I turned the TV off. I stood outside of my balcony so grumpy and sad and angry and upset. And I just went to bed at like 10 o'clock on a Friday. I was just that shitty and up. Like, I could not imagine what I'd be like if that was a final or a grand final. Like, I'm not good at taking losses like that. So I need to drink the Toronto Maple Leaf Kool-Aid. I get you guys have gone a longer time than Carlton have without winning a championship. You're just used to it. But, like, still, Colin, like, you just... So upbeat and happy. Like, your team lost in Game 7 again. Like, go burn something down, you Canadian.
You expected at this point to lose in Game 7 of round 1. So when you get a year where it doesn't happen, that's when you start celebrating.
This is the point I get, though. Like, yes, you expect it, but every year you seem to be like, oh, we're getting better, we're closer, and then it just happens. Like, surely that level of expectation is just like, oh, maybe this is a year.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think it's... I stopped believing it was the year a long time ago, and I find that's why I remain a little bit more optimistic. It's definitely not a Canadian thing, though, because obviously the Winnipeg Jets, which I live in Winnipeg, they did quite poorly in these playoffs, and it's not the first time. And the attitude of Winnipeg has always been blame everybody but your own team.
Oh,
it's the referees. There was literally a time when we lost to, what was it, Vegas in the playoffs, where there are all these rumors starting saying like Vegas had sabotaged us. They were shutting the lights and the power off in the building when it was the Jets practice, like all these conspiracy theories. And this year I suddenly noticed that all the Jets fans are like, man, our team sucks. Like, what is wrong with us? This is not a problem with referees. This is not a problem with coaching. This is a problem with Winnipeg. We need a better player. We need a better team. So Winnipeg has suddenly come around to be the one where it's like, we got to blame everybody.
Well, I will say for you also, you're a Leafs man, but you also have a soft spot for a bunch of other teams. You did not have a very good first round because the Leafs went out, the Lightning went out, the Islanders went out, the Jets went out. Yeah, not good for you either. But you're getting so positive, Colin. So, I'll take that. I mean, on the Canadian angle though, so of course at the time of recording this, we're doing this, I guess, a game into the second round. And what's Jamie Robb? Pizza! Wow! She's just not cooked tonight. She's just gone, I've ordered you a pizza. Wow. Okay.
I have a fun story about that I'll get to in a minute.
Which actually, it's funny. I watched during the week, we're doing commentaries over the Brink Unleashed films and the two that you were in with the Make a Pizza. So maybe that's poignant.
Oh.
But so the Canadian teams, there was what, four Canadian teams in it this year. So that's more than half. And basically 2 out in the first round, obviously being Toronto and Winnipeg. But then the other two meet each other currently in the second round. And I've just got to say, is this the worst possible pairing of Canadian teams? Like, I'm always going to have a soft spot for Canadian teams no matter who they are. But you're forcing me to choose between Vancouver and Edmonton? I mean, for God's sake, that's like listening to the Brink and Euros vision. Like, can we not listen to something better? I mean, I kind of have to go for Vancouver. But, I mean, is this Canada as well? Like, you're saying, like, we've got to cheer for a Canadian team, but... Honestly, I'm sure even Canada are like, ugh, Edmonton and Vancouver? Really? Go Florida or something like that.
Yeah, there's definitely always more support behind Edmonton than there is Vancouver. Vancouver is sort of like the wicked stepchild, stepson, stepbrother, whatever you want to call it, of the NHL in Canada. And a drink too. Look at this.
Oh, look at you go.
Thank you.
Catered Pepsi,
service.
That's not a drink.
It's Diet Pepsi too.
Might as well drink your own urine.
But I mean, I feel a little bit more okay because going into the first round, I said the only Canadian team that actually is going to make it out of the first round is going to be Vancouver. So I've doubled the Canadian teams coming out of the first round, and the one that I expected is still in there. You looking on the positive side, like, well, we know we're going to have a Canadian team in the conference finals. We're going to be down to Final Four. This is where that positivity comes in. Just look on the bright side.
Which I was going to add that. But, I mean, how did Vancouver become so good all of a sudden? They were shit for a while, and all of a sudden they're, like, best in the Pacific, and then all of a sudden now they're doing this. Like, I mean, it just came out of nowhere.
I mean, you leave the province and things start turning around for BC.
I mean, 2 years ago, it was Calgary topping the Pacific, and now it's Vancouver. We can't even make the fucking... We just get rid of everyone at Calgary. We don't... I think you and I are about to get a gig at Calgary at the moment. It's kind of embarrassing. I mean, look, it's tricky. I will say, I don't actually genuinely hate Vancouver. Like, yeah, I've got negative opinions on Vancouver for a variety of reasons. But in all fairness, they've always...
Vancouver has negative opinions.
Yeah, exactly. But I mean, they've always been a team to me that, like, I've always... Like, I remember back in 2011, you couldn't help but drink the Kool-Aid. And I didn't realize there was kind of a Vancouver hatred until I was in that part of the world. And a lot of Australians go for Vancouver because a lot of Australians go to Whistler. So Vancouver's the team that they pick up on. I just cannot handle Edmonton even remotely. Like, there's just something so, like, people, I'm sure, laugh at the Leafs never getting close, Austin Matthews, all of that. But to me, just having Connor McJesus just be this savior for them who every single year can't win the cup. It's brilliant. I love it. And I hope it just means he will leave Edmonton so I can actually like him. Because I don't dislike Connor McDavid. He's a brilliant player. I just hate who he plays for, so I can't not like him. So, like, even if he went to Detroit, and I hate Detroit, or Tampa, I'd be like, oh, Connor McDavid, great. Fuck off out of Edmonton already.
I mean, Edmonton growing up, I mean, that was the team. You know, you root for your home team and you root for Edmonton because, you know, obviously the days of Gretzky and then even after that with like Mark Messier. I mean, they probably the greatest lineups in NHL history came out of that, and they dominated like in the 80s and even the early 90s. But they're kind of the other city that was a joke for such a long time because I don't know how many years they managed to get the number one draft pick and fail to make the playoffs. It was year after year after year. So I think where people get a little bit more behind McDavid, even though it's like, okay, greatest player in the NHL, but how come they can't succeed? How come they can't win a Stanley Cup? Is because they went through all those years where they had the top draft picks and we're still the worst team in the league. So suddenly it's like Connor McDavid's at least gotten us to the playoffs. So it's like there's still some hope there's a slightest bit of hope in McDavid.
I implore you to Google. They've released a couple of, some of the fans have released some rap songs during the week for supporting Edmonton's run. And I would just like to say thank you for that, Edmonton, because you've officially replaced Calgary as having released the worst ever fan rap song in a playoffs. Look that up from 2022. It's embarrassing as a Calgary fan that we released that song.
It's not making Eurovision?
No, probably. I mean, based on some of the Eurovision entries, it probably would win. But I mean, just quickly, outside of the Canadian teams, I mean, look, I'm drinking the Rangers Kool-Aid. I mean, I want to be in New York all the time. But right now, between the Rangers and the Knicks, Madison Square Garden is a place to be because both are 2-up in the second round right now. This is shades of 94 because in 94, the Rangers, of course, famously won the Stanley Cup, their last Stanley Cup, but at the very same time, the Knicks were in the final. So it's one of the last times, I think, probably the last time that we've had two teams in the same arena in the finals of the NBA and the NHL at the same time. The Knicks sadly lost, but the fact that you've got the Rangers and the Knicks doing so well, I mean, I'm always cheering for teams that haven't won it in a long time. And obviously, Colorado won it a couple of years ago, but outside of Colorado, we've all got teams in a bit of a drought or who've never won it before. Florida, never won it before. Boston, it's been 13 years. Rangers, it's been 30 years. Carolina, 2006, wasn't it, that they won it? So that's 18 years. Dallas, 99.
20?
Yeah.
25 maybe, yeah.
Yeah, like that. Dallas, 99. Colorado, 2 years. Vancouver, never. And Edmonton, 1990. So take out Colorado and we're going to have a new winner, which is always good as a neutral, right?
I mean, if it wasn't for the fact that like Colorado's another one of those teams that I grew up loving.
They're okay. Colorado, you don't. Yeah, they're fine.
But having had them won recently, I'm not as invested this time. And it's also weird. I don't know if it's the same with you. You have the teams that you grew up loving and you're always love that team. Like that's what the Leafs are for me, or the Islanders. I always love them. I always will. With Colorado is one of these things where it's like at their peak, you know, late 90s, early 2000s, no team could top them. But I'm not as attached to Colorado today. You know, if Colorado goes on a drought for the next 50 years, I'm not going to be saying, come on, it's finally time. We got to get in there.
Yeah.
I would like to. It's weird because like Dallas is a team that I always hated growing up. Partly it was just rivalry between me and my brother. You know, I would love the Leafs. He would love Dallas. He would love the Red Wings. I also had a thing against the Red Wings for a long time.
I feel it.
But I would love to see that. But Vancouver, I hate to say it, and I think most Canadians hate to say it, but like I'm actually really crossing my fingers that Vancouver somehow pull this off because they've made it there like twice now,
3 times
over the last 30 years.
Yeah,
and it's just finally if they could be the team to break it, like that would cripple Canada. We won't know what to do with ourselves. We've gotten behind every team but Vancouver, and Vancouver's the one that pulls it off.
I actually really hate to admit this, Colin, but I'm absolutely completely on board with you. Like, it's just, I mean,
Yes.
I do love the city. It's a nice city. And the one Canucks game I went to in Vancouver, I had nothing but positive memories of it. And I dealt with the Canucks when I lived in Victoria, their media team. They were nothing but great to deal with. I like Peterson. Like, I can't. Yeah, I hate that I'm admitting that out loud, but no, I would be fine with Vancouver winning it, I think. But I'm I'm Vancouver and Ranger. I mean, that would be a replay of 94, of course. But but Dallas as well. I like Jamie Benn. I'd like to see Jamie Benn get a cup. So I'd be on board with that. Before we get to Star Wars pizza, give me a pizza story because I'm intrigued about this pizza story.
All right, so we have all three of our kids. I mean, we got twins and then we got an 8-year-old, but they're all born May 4th to May 6th. So their birthday party is one weekend.
You know when Colin and Jamie have sex.
Yeah, exactly. But we have their birthday party. We got like this big cottage that we rented like here in the city. And we planned this big birthday party, all their cousins coming over. And it was like on Thursday, Casper got like a bad stomach flu. And 2 days later, we're like, well, fine, he's over it. Jamie and I are out Friday night, and then Jamie's mom's texting, Casey just threw up. I'm like, okay, great. Maybe he'll be over this by Saturday. He's not over it Saturday. We're like, well, at least 2 of the kids are okay. Their birthday party is literally in the middle of it. Remy's asleep on the couch with like as much noise as you can imagine going around him. And then Remy wakes up after 2 hours sleeping during his birthday party, and he throws up. So he's throwing up at his own birthday party. Or? No, he had like nothing but like crackers and juice in his stomach this time. No hot dogs, thankfully. But then Casey is seeming like he's better, but not wanting to eat. The next day, Casey throws up. So typically, like a stomach flu is like a 24-hour thing. So we're thinking, all right, well, they're young, they're fine if they miss their birthday cake, their pizza, and all that. We'll have it the next day. We got the cottage the whole weekend. The next day, they're still throwing up. 4 days in a row, these kids are throwing up. Some terrible stomach flu is going around where apparently, like, you get hit with it, you're better for a couple of hours or like half a day, and then you get a second wave of it that lasts for days. So they got none of their birthday cake, no pizza. They went with no food for 4 or 5 days. So we felt so bad. We're like, we're ordering you guys pizza tonight, and we still got some birthday cake. Like today is like make-up birthday party. And to make up for their birthday party, I'm recording with you.
I was about to say, and here you are recording with me for a couple of hours. Happy birthday, children. That's a sweet story. You and Jamie just didn't eat all the birthday cake? Just go like, you know?
No, well, I couldn't eat it because it was gluten-free, but Jamie got sick with the flu as well. So she actually threw up the morning of their birthday party. I was lucky. I was the only one who didn't. And when she called, like we have this thing called Health Links here. Like you call a number and you got a nurse on the phone. They said, I am like absolutely shocked your husband didn't get it, which I got really lucky with because I had a half marathon on Sunday and I kept having these flashes. I'm like, everybody around me has been throwing up for days. I'm going to be like on kilometer 16 and I'm just going to barf all over the back of the person in front of me.
Was a Brazilian Olympian that shat himself during the race walk a few years ago.
That would have been me.
You're vomiting. Wow. There you go. Well, now I just want birthday cake. So thanks for that. Happy birthday, Noah, by the way. Just quickly. So it was, speaking of your children's birthday, it was May the 4th the other day, at least the time recording this. I went and saw the original Star Wars trilogy on the big screen. You went and saw The Phantom Menace. Can I just say to your dear nephew that he is an idiot and wrong?
Yes.
Just incredibly. But what number was this for you for The Phantom Menace? Like 817? You've now seen it on the big screen or something like that?
So this is 28th time I've seen it. Now,
you've got to see it 2 more. You got to get to 30.
I'll get to that. But so first, to put in perspective, when this came out in 99, it played in theaters for, I think, 11 months straight. So I also lived across the street from like our cheap theater where you could go on a Tuesday for $1.25. So, I mean, a dozen or more of those times was the easiest possible opportunity to see the movie. But then they re-released it in theaters for the 3D. They released it now. I'm at 28 and I wanted to get to 30. But I expected this would be a 1 week thing. Like that's a lot of these re-releases come out. The Mummy, Alien, The Fugitive a couple of months ago. It's always like a 1 week engagement and then it's gone. And most of those movies were doing like, I don't know, $800,000 North American box office. Maybe they got lucky and cracked $1 million. The Phantom Menace, of course, the movie that nobody likes of Star Wars, opens number 2 at the box office. And they're keeping it around now for another week. So I'm like, wow. I've got no time to go this week. I'm never going to hit 30. I'll hit 30 on the 50th anniversary, maybe, if I'm still alive. But now it did so much better than people expected. They're keeping around for another week. I have a chance. If I can get to the theater 2 more times the next week, I can hit 30.
Fingers crossed. I mean, my record's 4, which is, I saw No Time to Die 4 times when it was in its run. And I think over the course of my life, I've seen Jurassic Park 4 times. I'm on 3 for The Phantom Menace, so I could have seen it a 4th time. They did release that for a couple of days before the weekend, which I was thinking about. I just couldn't get there. So then we had the original trilogy on May the 4th and then the prequel trilogy on May the 5th. I had tickets to a rugby game, so I couldn't go to the prequel trilogy. But I will say that the original trilogy, like, I mean, I complain enough about Sydney audiences being the worst cinema audiences of all time. I'm in a room with like middle-aged white men geeks. So, everyone's being quiet and watching this movie, even though they've seen it 20,000 times before. To get laughing reactions to scenes in Star Wars that I'm like, didn't know that was that funny, but okay. And when Luke and Leia kiss, and all that sort of stuff, I'm like, okay. But the best part was I actually haven't rewatched the Star Wars trilogy since the whole Disney Plus McClunky edit.
Oh, yeah.
So the version they played on the big screen was McClunky. And I'm like, it's McClunky. And I loved it. It was great. But no, it was on the bigger screen as well. It wasn't just on one of the little boutique screens. I got the recliner chair and everything. So I've now seen all the Star Wars movies on the big screen, and very worth it. Like it does add to it. It really does. Like seeing the trench run on the big screen and Jedi Rocks on the big screen. Hashtag pro Jedi Rocks, Ben Waterworth. So yeah, epic. You've seen them all on the big screen, haven't you?
Yeah, because I saw the original trilogy when they did like the 20th anniversary release in 97. Sadly, A New Hope, which is my favorite, is the only one I've only seen that one time. When they did the 40th anniversary of Empire Strikes Back a couple of years ago, I went. They did the 40th anniversary of Return of the Jedi last year, I went. So 50th anniversary is a couple of years away. I'm sure A New Hope, I'm sure all of them are going to be released
3
again.
Years, that's scary. It's only 3 years away, isn't it? So is it?
And I'll be there for that.
Is it 50? When was Jaws? 75, 74?
Jaws was 75, so that's next year's 50th.
I've
seen that twice on the big screen. How have I seen Jaws twice, but not in New Hope?
I've never seen Jaws on the big screen. So I nearly did. I think it was one of those COVID films that they released, and I think I went and saw Back to the Future instead. But yeah, I'd only seen Empire back. I remember when I was like 10, and the original trilogy got re-released. My dad took my sister to go see A New Hope. I didn't get an invite. I got an invite to Empire Strikes Back, and then I don't know why I didn't see Jedi, because Jedi was always my favorite as a kid. So anyway, thank you, Colin. Better luck next year for the Leafs.
Let's hope for at least 2 games in round 2 next year.
Okay, so we're still here in the beautiful Red Centre, currently walking around the little town where the resorts and all the Uluru things are. I just wanted to walk around and so you can hear didgeridoos in the background. They have like a didgeridoo style, I guess, teaching school right now where you can go and bang some sticks and play the didgeridoo and do that kind of cultural thing, which I was tempted to do, but I thought, no. I'm just trying to see if he plays a didgeridoo again. So you can hear it. Banging sticks. Never mind. Anyway, lots of little cultural activities and everything that they do around here to kind of appease a variety of different audiences and tourists and everything along the lines, which is quite entertaining. But so far in the 24 hours I have been here, as you heard at the beginning, I was walking through the Olgas, which again do have an Indigenous name now. Well, I guess they've always had an Indigenous name, but referred to as that. And my pronunciations, as you know, are terrible, so we won't try that. But so far it's been pretty cool. Tonight will be a stargazing tour. Then tomorrow we'll be walking around Uluru, a nice 10-kilometre bright and early walk with a beautiful sunrise beforehand, and then going in a helicopter, which I'm very excited for. So these are all the things that I'm trying to tease you to watch. The Brink Unleashed 12.5 BU and the NT, which will surely make things very exciting for you. But it's an experience. It's one of these things that I feel that every Australian probably thinks about coming here but doesn't come here. But at the end of the day, it's a bit of an eye-opener to kind of come to one of the very stereotypical places our country offers the world, and a lot of Australians never come here. So not only is it a case of ticking off the last state/territory that I've never been to, but to go to maybe the most Australian thing that you can go to. I would argue this is obviously more Australian than the Sydney Opera House, Harbour Bridge. I see them all the time now. Even the Great Barrier Reef, these stunning things that make Australia so unique and beautiful. Uluru's the one. It's the one that the world sees and knows. So to see it, to be here, it's pretty eye-opening, and it's pretty pretty awesome experience. So it's one of these ones that, as an Australian, if you're listening to this, if you've never been here, do it. Come here, check it out, because it's pretty awesome. And I've only been here for 24 hours, so that is my recommendation as of right now. So I'll see if that continues over the next 24 to 48 hours. But right now, I've made it to the town centre. Let's just say you thought Hobart was small, or Invercargill was small. This place, small. They're clapping my jokes here. They're huge fans of the Brink here in the middle of Australia. There's a cultural activity of some sort going on right now, which is exciting. But I'm going to go look in some souvenir shops and spend the rest of my afternoon passing the time, getting some dinner, and then I will be going to gaze at some stars. So, with that in mind, you're welcome for this segment. Let's get to something a little bit more exciting.
We always love having this guy on because we don't have anybody else in the show, and he's basically all we can get. It's Snug's number one resident, the guy who died in the bushfire. No, sorry, Noah Groves. No, there's that famous cricketer that you...
Yeah.
What's his name?
Bo.
Bridges. No, Bo Webster. Bo Webster. There you go. Hello, Noah Groves. Welcome back.
My fees are low.
Your feet, yeah, true. You were sitting...
Why you can get me.
And also you're sitting on my couch and you kind of... The only role...
You made me do it.
I did. It's like you're staying at my house, you will record an episode, a segment of The Brink. So, but exciting news for your fan out there.
Yes, I am pregnant.
You are pregnant with a baby. As opposed to the other things you can get pregnant with. You are leaving. You've left Snug. Well, you're not in Snug right now. You're in Sydney.
I have left.
But where are you going? What's up? What's Noah Groves up to now? Update us on your life.
Do you want the full itinerary? Or, well,
down to the minute.
In about 10 minutes, we're going to head out the door and walk and get a palmy.
Palmy. Not a Palmer.
Marrickville.
Yes.
Filter brewing, no dogs.
Thanks for clearing that up.
Then I'm going on a little vacation holiday to South Korea, my former home of 5 years. And then I'm moving to the United Kingdom.
Not Great Britain, the United Kingdom.
Yeah, but could have been the United States or the United Arab Emirates.
Or the United Kingdom of Lesotho.
Yeah, but it's the United Kingdom of United Kingdom.
Quick trivia question. What's the difference between Great Britain and the United Kingdom?
Well, Great Britain doesn't include Northern Ireland.
Oh, look at you being smart.
Is that the end?
That is correct.
But do you have the why though?
Because it's only Greater Britain, isn't it? And United Kingdom
thought
is
you
the kingdom
had a bit more.
I don't. I got
it right.
You did get it right. The United Kingdom is all of the, Northern Ireland, Wales, Scotland, and England, whereas Great Britain is just simply that island, the British Island. Or the British Isles incorporates
British Isles
Ireland.
is a different one too.
British Isles incorporates Ireland.
See, in Australia, it's just Australia.
Yeah, well, we also have Easter Island.
We have Tasmania.
Norfolk Island and all that kind of stuff. But you must be excited. You've left Snug. You're going back overseas again. You haven't... when did you actually come back from Korea? What month
Well, I
last year?
left Korea in March 2023.
And then when did you get back to Snuggalicious? August, that's right. Because we saw each other in
8 months.
October and then the end of the year. There you go. Interesting. Yeah, fascinating times that you... How did you find your... long journey in Snug in the last 8 or so months?
Thrilling.
Like Michael Jackson Thriller? Or,
as scary as that.
But was it nice to see family?
Sure.
And you're just like, fuck off.
Yes, it was. It was lovely.
It was. And will they will they visit you in the United Kingdom?
It's a long way to go.
Okay.
I had a lot of...
sentence.
I was lucky in Korea because
I bet you were.
got lots of visitors, and some of my American and British friends didn't, because it's quite easy to go from Australia to Korea, but it's far to go to the UK.
Your mother went to the UK, didn't she?
No.
I thought she did. No? Your dad went to the No?
No.
Okay, well,
I've been to the UK.
Perfect excuse. That was your very first overseas trip from memory, was it not?
It was.
You went, didn't you record in where the Beatles recorded or something? Or
not the Beatles.
Wonderwall or Oasis?
The Verve.
The Verve. Oh, one of those bands.
It's not quite the Beatles.
Often confused. The Verve and the Beatles.
Was they Abbey Road?
Bittersweet Symphony. That was them, right? Wasn't it?
Yeah.
There you go.
What was their other song? Exactly.
Great Britain. But how? I mean, okay. How old were you back then when you went to the UK for the first time?
20.
So here you are, 7 years later. Did you go back once you lived in Europe to?
No.
So I mean, can you remember your first overseas trip? I mean, I'm revisiting.
We're
here,
talking about it now.
but what I'm saying is, we're revisiting here on the Brink Unleashed. We're doing audio commentaries of the
flashback month.
the film, and I talked about during that first trip, the vivid memories of your first overseas trip. How excited you were to leave the country.
Eye-opening, even being in the airport and seeing people of different nationalities, races, religions. Flying. I remember flying over desert. That blew my mind because to me it looked like a movie. It was because it would have been somewhere in like Dubai or Saudi Arabia or whatever. It was that blew my mind seeing that from high up.
Interesting.
And then being in busy London, coming from Tasmania my whole life.
And then, so how long would have you been there for?
A couple of weeks. We saw it. We saw a chunk of London.
And your thoughts on London now that you've seen other parts of the world? I've not been there. I'm going there in a couple of months, so I would like to get some advice, some opinions.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't travel London the way I would travel a country now because now I'm a bit of a seasoned traveller. Snob.
Yes. A snob.
No, I know what I like and I get what I like now, but I didn't know what I liked then because I had never travelled before. So it was like, hey, let's go to the zoo.
And I know you love zoos. That was like with your band members back then too. So now obviously you do a lot more by yourself. So more.
But I'm enjoying the city. I'm probably not gonna live there. Never say never. But again,
hey.
But I enjoyed it, and I'm gonna stay there for a few days when I land because I think now I'll make the most of what I want to see in London, and it's a vibrant city. So I'm looking forward to going back there, but also seeing more of the country. Because I feel like that's an issue. People travel and they sort of just go to Seoul or they just go to Tokyo, but these are entire countries we're talking about. That's like going to Sydney and not anywhere else outside of Australia.
But it's a great point because I think that particularly with the UK is, you're talking about maybe living in Leeds or Manchester and like I know far less about England than I am aware of. Like when I worked with English people and they would say like, I'm from Birmingham, I'm from Manchester, I'm from Liverpool. And to me, they're soccer teams. And then you realize, well, they're actually like another state, if you know what I mean. They don't have separate states in England, but Liverpool is so different to London and the north is so different to the south.
Diverse.
Yeah, which is it's fascinating because I think it's a small country that, you go too far north in England, you're in Scotland. You go far to west, you're in Wales. Like it's sort of, you're kind of going into, and that's a whole other thing. So yeah, it's interesting that I don't really think of England in that way.
Back to the homeland.
Back to the mother. Is your family heritage English, is it? Or
English, Welsh.
Welsh.
Well, I'm English by only two my grandmother grew up in England. So.
Do you know what part in England?
Well, I asked her the other day, and she said we were all over the place.
Well, thanks,
and
man.
they were also in. Yeah. Thanks, man.
You were born somewhere. It's not like your leg was in Leeds, your other leg was in Manchester.
Well, to be honest, I was being a bit. The aim was to be a bit sentimental, and I might go and sort of visit where you grew up, sort of thing. Yeah, thanks, Nan.
Well,
Didn't really get much.
But
my grandpa is big into. On the other side of the family trees and that, so he's tracked down like the exact village in Wales or something. So maybe I can go along to there.
I know my mum and my sister have done that a lot and found some errands, but growing up it was always my grandma obviously being Scottish, so the Scottish side of the family, and my dad's side was English and Swedish. I couldn't tell you where in Sweden. People have asked me that and I actually don't know, but Scotland, when I'm there in a couple of months, the reason I'm going to Glasgow is because my family's from a town called Airdrie, which is a transit town 20 minutes out of Glasgow, and apparently there's nothing there, but like it'd be like if you went to Snug. It'd be like it's Snug. You just drive through it. Cool. You might stop off and get a dim sim, but I want to go there, like, because that's without my nan getting on a boat after the war to come to Australia, I wouldn't exist.
Do they have a Costco?
I don't think they have a Costco. No, sadly not. Is that the epitome of culture in Scotland, if they've got a Costco. I like Costco. Have you been to Costco?
There's Costco in Korea.
Costco in Canada is incredible.
I'm Welsh, English, and Danish, so are we we should be rivals. So you're Scottish and Swedish.
Yeah, well,
the thing is, like,
Scots and
we're
England
talking about
rivals.
all this, but we're very Australian.
I've
so,
got,
like,
I know I've got Welsh heritage. I definitely got Welsh heritage
It's not
in me
quite
as well.
I was half joking about going back to the motherland, and it is cool to go back to your roots of where your family came from. But I feel like in Australia, as white people, we don't have quite the like attachment to it like the Americans do and stuff. So it is cool to go and see it, but I'm not like, yeah, I'm Welsh.
I agree to an extent, but like I'm incredibly proud of my Scottish heritage. That's why, like, had I got married properly, I've still got my kilt. I never got married in it. It's a second time a charm. I can still wear that kilt. I want to get like
You're wearing it now.
I want to get a Scottish tattoo in some form. Like, I'm very proud of that Scottish
A bagpipe.
Yeah, I'm a penis. Like,
a deep fried Mars bar.
But no, I'm honestly very proud of that Scottish side of my family. I love my nan, rest in peace. And I was always so proud that I could say my nan was Scottish. And then I used to love going around to her brother's house, who was married to another Scottish, and they were just the most Scottish people. They were so thick accent and just hilarious, and just love that side of me. So that's going to mean a lot to me to go to Scotland to see that. So that's the first time in my life. Like, I've got no family connection to the US and Canada. I love that part of the world, and I've always been, intrigued by that part of it. So this is going to be the first time I'm going to go to a place where it's like, I wouldn't exist if it wasn't for this country.
I do still have family over there, so it would be good to get in touch with the ones that didn't make the journey.
Did you go when you were in Denmark? Did you track down like the Danish side?
No, I don't know what's going on there.
Nah. You're not
there's
Princess
something
Mary
there.
or, like Queen Mary.
But I'm not getting free university, so I can't be that Danish.
Well, like the Swedish side is like the side of my family, which I think is a bit harder to track down, because I think it was like my dad's mum's mum was Swedish, and obviously long gone before I was alive, and now that my nan's sadly gone too. So I know we've got a Bergman name because the old wives' tale in the Waterworth family is that we were related to Ingrid Bergman. So whether or not that's true or not, I don't know.
No.
I think Bergman in Sweden is just like Swiss.
No, because
Smith
there's also Ingmar Bergman, great director, which...
Yeah. So anyway.
That's cool. I've lived in Denmark and I will live in the UK, so really making the most of
you might
the
have
roots.
slept with one of your family members that you didn't know of. So, oops, sorry. Third cousin.
Well, I'm Tasmanian, of course I did.
Exactly, of course.
Not in Denmark, not in the UK.
I know, it's just natural
In
for us,
snow.
right? That's the old joke, like Tasmanian Tinder's Ancestry.com, right? Like, that's our version of it. So, what is the one thing that when you're in Snug for 8 months, you've left Snug, that you will genuinely miss? Is there anything that when you were back there, you were like, oh, fuck, I missed this? The Longley Palmy?
I do like being walking distance to the beach, and I'm not going to have that in the UK. That's nice. On my daily walk, I'd walk past the beach, and that's nice to have. I took it for granted that I grew up so close to the ocean after now meeting a lot of people around the world who some have barely even seen an ocean. So that's nice. I appreciate that.
That's the one thing. That's all I wanted to get you to say. One thing.
The ocean's big.
It is. Well, that's technically not the ocean, though. That's a river when you're in Snug. But
What?
It's Derwent River. That's not the ocean.
Snug Beach.
It's on the Derwent River, right?
But it's an ocean. It's connected to Broody Island, which is connected to Antarctica.
Broody Island's not connected to Antarctica. How long is Broody Island?
By the ocean.
There's anyway. I know what you're saying, but you're wrong. Are you? What is the plan in Korea? Obviously, you've not been there in just over a year.
Drinking and eating.
Drinking and you miss Korean food, no doubt.
Yes.
So you're gonna like, what's your go-to Korean dish?
Everything.
But tomorrow night, you're going to arrive in Korea, you're going to get to your hotel, you're going to go to the restaurant, there's going to be one thing where you're like, fuck, I missed this.
Yeah, but the problem is Korean eating is very social, so a lot of meals you can't get on your own.
Why? What? Hang on a minute. What, they refuse? Oh, you're by yourself, you can't have this. Really?
Because it's like they have all these side dishes and all this food is meant as a shared dish. So if you're taking up one table that's meant for actual 4 people paying.
I see that as a challenge, not a problem.
Well, I've done
Put it on the table. I'm down to eat it.
Sometimes I've done it if they allow it. Sometimes they don't allow it. Sometimes they're like, well, this is a bit weird, but if you're paying.
But that's the thing. You're paying the money. What's
but you're paying
them?
the money for one person, not for 4 people when everyone else is there for 4 people.
I think that's a bit discriminatory. At the end of the day, you're paying it for
That's
one.
their culture.
Dumb, stupid. But what is there like a Korean, like the Korean palmy? What's the Korean palmy?
There's a dish called Jim Duck. It's hard to explain, but it's just every
Jim.
delicious bad stuff for you in one big dish, in like a stew sort of,
It's like haggis.
with noodles and like
noodle.
fried things and chicken and just like all the good stuff that you shouldn't eat. Cheese on top. That's going to be a must-have.
I sounds good. Jim Duck sounds like a good guy.
It's delicious.
Or a girl. Could identify as a girl. Well, I'm looking forward to hearing your stories of Korea and the UK. I might see you in London in a couple of months.
Maybe.
So we've hung out in Snug. We've hung out in Sydney. That's it.
I've never seen you outside of the country,
That's true.
which sounds weird, but I have a lot of friends from all over, and I have seen friends in random countries. So
No, I've got some very random meetups with Tasmanians in other countries, and you and I have travelled around Tasmania
Ooh.
together, but I've never hung out. I've hung out with Colin in another country. I've hung out with Colin in the US and
Bloody
Canada.
international man.
There you go.
Man.
Exactly, international man to man. That's I'm the quarrel of this.
Are you
know?
gonna give me a quiz?
Let's
Don't we normally do quizzes on this?
Do you wanna
show?
do you wanna
You know
do-
I love quiz.
questions of the day. Shall we do this?
Is that a quiz?
Oh, can't just pick a date, any date.
January the 1st.
January the 1st. Your question is, what is your mission?
If you choose to accept it. Make it to England without liver failure or heart attack.
That's a pretty good one.
Or like just make it past the border.
AIDS is fine, but just not liver failure or a heart
It's
attack.
just anything that lets me get past the
Cholera.
It's
Dysentery.
not 1742.
Scurvy.
I'm getting the boat there.
Bring back scurvy.
Yeah. Well, I do like limes.
Would you rather the plague or scurvy?
Scurvy. I've pour some lime in me.
I'm gonna salt my meat. What would you pick another date?
December 31st.
December 31st. What is your most cherished memory of this year besides this
Well,
moment?
it's
right
been a short year, so that should be easy.
now? We're in May. We're nearly halfway.
Oh.
How are we in May? Happy May, everyone. It's gonna be May.
Well, I've just been like in Snug the whole time. Probably our palmy tonight.
Yeah, we could get like food poisoning. We could get like
scurvy.
What's the chicken disease? When you eat raw chicken?
Yeah, I do know what you're.
Yeah.
But why can't I think of it?
What is that disease?
I know exactly what you're, and it's on the tip of my tongue.
Not Legionnaire's disease. That's the
No.
air conditioner one.
But why can't I-
Salmonella.
Yes.
There it is. Good old salmonella. Good underrated disease. Another date.
November 11th.
November 11. Remember November 11. That's not the right date, Ben. You're thinking of that saying, but it's Remembrance Day at least. It is the great question that involves the wording that is, of course, the following. What do you always avoid? AIDS. That's a solid answer. I would like to avoid AIDS.
What do I always avoid? McDonald's.
Oh,
I'm not saying I'm the healthiest person in the world, but I haven't had a McDonald's in 6 years.
a McDonald's. I haven't had a McDonald's.
That's what you say, a McDonald's?
McDonald's is great. Another date.
October 10th.
That's my mum's birthday. It is the question that is the wording of the following. Write down the name of someone you had a good conversation with recently.
Can't think of any.
Nah, I don't know anybody.
Well, we had a good. I don't have a pen, but we had a good conversation last night about all sorts.
We did. All sorts of licorice, all sorts.
Well, I really haven't had a long conversation with anyone recently, so that was a good one.
That was a good one. Good chat. I agree. Another date.
September
11th.
12th.
Oh,
Dodged it.
good save there. September 12th. 12th. What are you chasing at the moment? AIDS.
A chicken parmigiana.
True.
And just having fun before I turn 30.
Wait till we come home. Let's go 3 more. Give me another date.
September, August 12th.
Oh, I was open on
14th.
August there, but I was on the wrong way. 14th. Did you complete your to-do list for the day?
August 12th.
August 12th.
Stupid.
His to-do list is August 12th. What is your resolution for tomorrow?
survive a plane journey, get to the airport on time, don't miss my flight,
Good one, Sav. 2 more. Give me another date.
and eat Jim Duck.
Hey, Jimmy.
July
I don't know any good important dates in July.
31st.
Oh, that's the end of the month. Happy new end of month. Today, were you a wallflower or a social butterfly? What?
July 30th.
What's a wallflower? Today was unusual because...
Because we went in the pool and it was very cold.
That's not too bad, though. Last date.
June 2.
June 2.
Is this a quiz?
Should you trust your instincts?
I would love to make a joke of it. I say, yeah, I think I have pretty switched on and alert of things. As much as I would like to joke about it, yes, I trust my instincts.
Staying in my house, I don't know about those instincts. But
Sometimes they've failed me, but most of the time.
live and you learn, right? Live and let die.
Was that a quiz?
Well, what do you want from me? I want my palmy. I want to leave.
I just thought this was a quiz show for some reason. I thought every episode there was a quiz.
There usually is, but I'm just lazy at the moment. I'd love to be a quiz show host.
Me too. I wanted to go on a quiz show.
All right, quick fire question. What is the your state capitals of the US. What's the capital of Alabama?
Montgomery.
What is the capital of Alaska?
Juneau.
What is the capital of Hawaii?
Honolulu?
I don't actually
Hawaii?
know. Correct all half the time. But,
I don't actually know that one.
Anyway, Noah, thank you. Best of luck on your flight, and we will talk to you probably in the UK.
Let's go and get a pass.
Hello, everyone. It's me again. You know, the guy who hosts these episodes. I am coming to you direct from Uluru. Literally, I'm staring at it as we speak. I'm currently on the Uluru base walk. So we did one of these doing the Olgas, and now it's time to do one around the base of Uluru, more than halfway around what is, I believe, the world's largest rock. And it has to be said, it's pretty spectacular to be able to just be this up close and personal and see all the indentations and the rock formations. I'm staring right now at a giant cave sort of elevated in the air, which almost looks like a mouth or a hat or some teeth or something. There's another sort of hole up there, and yeah, just simply stunning. It really is something that any Australian should come and visit if you've never been to, and non-Australians. I'm not simply saying only Australians. It's more one of those things that, as I said before, as an Australian, you kind of feel like you should come here at least once. So, ticking that off the bucket list right now. And again, it's never really something that was always on a bucket list for me to do, but it was more of a case of, yeah, I'd like to do that one day, and here we are. So I'm glad I chose Uluru over Darwin. No disrespect to Darwin. I'm sure Darwin's a lovely city, but for me it was experiencing something a little bit different. And here we are, which you're going to experience in the Brink Unleashed 12.5. I'm just saying. We're getting some good shit on that, so stay tuned. But it's stinking hot. It's like 10:30 in the morning. It's probably only actually about 20 degrees to be fair, but I'm also on the other side of the rock where very exposed to the elements. The flies are buzzing. It's definitely an experience, but oh, I see a bit of shade. That's a positive. It's the first time I think I've seen some shade in quite some time, so that'll work. Be able to get myself out of this blaring heat for just 2 seconds. But also, as a Tasmanian, anything above 20 is blaring heat for me. But yeah, this is pretty stunning, and something that I'm glad that I'm experiencing right now. So look forward to the Brink Unleashed 12.5 when we show you more, and I'm sure that you'll hear more as we go along too.
All right, time to bring this bad boy home by me sitting in a hotel room at Uluru. I feel my segments were not rushed as such, but my little Uluru segments were kind of interesting, walking around the rock and everything along those lines, but we got there eventually. So I hope you got a brief little insight into some of this trip, very brief, but at the same time wanted to be able to record this in the Northern Territory at Uluru. It's been an incredible experience, and that does mean that the Brink Unleashed 12.5 will be coming soon. Haven't got a concrete release date yet, but it will happen
before we venture off to Europe for the Brink Unleashed 13, which, of course, reminding you that you can hear all the commentaries of the Brink Unleashed films presently being released on a Friday. Some will be dropping on a Wednesday to kind of keep up with a bit of a schedule to ensure that they're all released ahead of the Brink Unleashed 13 being filmed in July. So stay tuned for that. We always thank Noah, we always thank Colin for their time, great insights, and everything else that you've heard in this episode. We will, of course, return with our monthly episode at some point in June as well. So stay tuned for that. And I'm sure all the Brinkalicious action that you love and know will always be coming down your speakers when you want it throughout those days. That really made no sense, did it? Yeah, most of this episode doesn't. Subscribe, like, do all the regular things that you do on this episode. Thanks again. Thanks to the Northern Territory. And thanks to Uluru and everything else that I've experienced in the last few days. It's been a lot of fun. Till next week again, keep sucking those oranges, Uluru, and good night.